Good evening. Welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for Thursday, January 28th, 2021. We operate under the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 131, in the Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 20.
Peter, you're muted.
Hey, you're muted. You're muted, Peter.
There we go.
Okay, how much did we miss? Start from the top. Good evening. Welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for Thursday, January 28th, 2021. We operated under the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 131, and the Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 26. What we'll do is we'll go through our agenda and we'll let the applicant or the representative present their case. Following that, I will poll each member of the commission to see if they have any questions or comments. Then we'll open it up to comments from the general public, questions or comments, and then I will poll each member for voting purposes. Just want everyone to remember that this is a civil meeting. We expect everyone to be courteous to applicants, commission members, and abutters. That being said, I'm going to call the roll and then we'll get going from there. Vanessa Curran.
Here.
Chelsea King.
Here, sorry.
Ann McGill. I see her, so we know she's here. Michael Splain. And Peter Wilson. Georgia, can you hear me?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, Peter,
Okay.
we can hear you.
I'm having difficulties hearing people.
Can you hear me?
I can
I
hear
was
you,
muted
Mike.
before. Yeah, I'm here.
And Ann, you're all set?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It
It wasn't me.
took a bit here.
Okay. Just have to go through a general script that I read for each meeting. Staff, when I call your name, please respond that you are here. Georgia Pendergast.
Present.
David Fields.
He is not present tonight.
Who is doing the email?
I'm checking it.
You'll be checking it? Okay. Alicia Linehan.
Here.
And now the anticipated speakers on the agenda, 17 Dartmouth Street, Jason Leonard or David Cowell.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, guys.
For Lot 8 Beaver Brook, Scott Cameron or John Calantoni.
Hi, this is Annie Raftery for the Morning Camera Group. I'll be doing the presentation.
Okay. And for 10 Riverside Street, Jason Small and David
Hi.
Bennett.
Yep, this is Joe Small. I'm here. No picture though.
Okay. Is it Joe or Jason?
It's Joe.
Okay. All right, Joe. Good evening. This open meeting of the Danvers Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of the emergency in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirements of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening remotely via the WebEx app, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Supporting materials have been provided to members of this body and will be shown during this transmission. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for an effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. That all being said, let's move on to the agenda. And our first is a continued public hearing, a notice of intent for 17 Dartmouth Street, DEP file number 14-1357. The applicant is Jason Leonard, and who's here to represent Dave? Jason.
Hi. Yep. For the record, my name is David Cowell. I'm a senior wetland scientist with Hancock Associates, here tonight on Jason's behalf. Jason is out of town this evening, so he will not be in attendance this evening, but he's asked me to represent for him. As you had mentioned, this is a continued public hearing for a notice of intent we had filed for a single-family home addition. It's a master bedroom proposed, and it's within the. And I apologize that Georgia had asked if I could color coordinate the plans a bit so that the areas would jump out. I think if we're able to zoom in to the addition, we can see the resource areas. And I do regret that. I was actually home today unexpectedly doing childcare. So I think at our last public hearing, I think what was of greatest concern to the Conservation Commission was that we were asking for a waiver for 41 square feet of encroachment into the 35-foot no build zone, which you can see that hatched area there, that triangle. So that was, the closest distance as depicted on our plan would be 30. Oh, that's from the opposite side of that's a property boundary. I'm sorry, not from the wetland flags. I saw the 39.1 foot. But I think we had calculated that this was like 32 feet. So it's about a 3-foot encroachment. So in dialogue with Mr. Leonard, he had asked me to offer the commission that he would be able to shave 3 feet off of his addition, which would represent, he can't move it's 20 by 20 feet. He can't move it to the right. So it would be a loss of 3 feet of home for him to cut 3 feet. But in doing so, he said that he would, he'd like to keep the shed where it is. The shed was offered to be removed from the 25-foot no disturb zone. It's an existing non-conforming structure, and it was offered as compensatory mitigation for allowances of a waiver. And if we're not granted the waiver and we vacate 3 feet, he would ask to leave the shed in the state that it's in, where it is. So that's been my dialogue with Mr. Leonard, and I do understand that some of the members had performed a site walk. We weren't able to coordinate joining you guys, and I regret that wasn't possible. But anyone that was in attendance this past week, and if you guys have any questions or comments from your observations on the site, we'd be happy to receive some feedback.
All right, Dave, just one quick question, and then I'm going to pass on most of the questioning to the board.
Sure.
The applicant is saying that he would reduce the size of the addition to make it a 17 by 20? Is that what I'm hearing? So he's
That's-
outside of the 35-foot zone?
That's right. Yep, it would be a 17 by 20-foot dimension. If the commission were in support of that, we could revise our site plans and resubmit prior to the next hearing.
Okay, because when we were there, it just looked from us, to the probably the unpracticed eye, that it was much closer than to the 35-foot. We didn't think it was 35 feet away from the resource area. So I'm just questioning, where do you determine where the resource area begins?
So in this case, this is this is all survey grade. So we locate the wetland flags and then locate the existing grades. So I mean, this is all attested survey and PE signage on these plans. So
By Hancock?
yes, yep. So we
Okay.
field located and surveyed these and plotted them to our plan. So, but the wetland flags were determined. It's inland bank coincident to, well, it's median or high water because it's a perennial water course. In this case, if you guys were out there, you can see that it's a very clearly defined channel. It's not nebulous. There's a clean break and slope as it elevates. It immediately transitions into upland. I think there were a few areas where my flags were a little conservative to incorporate a small margin of BBW that are maybe a foot or two inward, and just conservatively lump those in to make sure that was encapsulated.
And are those the pink flags that we saw there, Dave?
All the pink flags they were bank flags, but they also encapsulated if there was like, if there's like a narrow band of BBW at the edge of bank, I would just put it in there, because the 200-foot and the 100-foot inner riparian, it would have the same broadcast of town setbacks. Your 25 and your 50 or 25, 35 would broadcast off of those. And it would be the same flags that would be used for the 100-foot inner riparian and 200-foot outer 200-foot riverfront.
Okay. And just one quick question on the heading towards the back of the yard.
Yep.
There's two lines that go to a circle. Is that what does that represent?
A dry well. That would be where the roof runoff would be put into a dry well at that location.
Okay. Okay. That's all. I'm going to let the other members. I'm sure there'll be more questions, but let me just start with Ann.
Okay. The only thing I was thinking about in terms of looking at where the drop off is, it seemed very close to us when we were looking at it. That you have the fence there, and that is a sharp drop off. So the construction of the addition, my concern was any construction vehicles going close to that section versus coming around through the driveway. And, how do you propose to handle that? Because again, there's not that much space between where you want to build and that fence.
That's right. So, yep, I think just looking at our plans here, it looks like, I thought it was a distance of about 6. No, that's an elevation. I apologize.
Yeah.
We've worked in tight spots like this. I think recently we had a permit in front of you for Congress Street, which was the same circumstance. And we would install a perimeter erosion control barrier. I think I don't know what we expect if it was wattles, but we could put in a silt fence that would effectively serve as not only sediment control, but also a limit of work boundary so that the equipment can't access beyond that. Now, if during the construction process that they actually need to use equipment or just guys with ladders are on the side closest to the wetland, there's no trees in there that would remove, that would encumber us. I think that they'd be able to get through the construction process, and as soon as the house is up and stabilized, that if there were any minor earth disturbance of just where tracking had occurred, that they would loam and seed it and restore it in kind to the existing condition.
Okay. My concern mainly was because where that fence is, the drop off starts right away. It's a gradual drop off, but it's not like there's a shelf there. It
Right.
just immediately drops off. And it would seem to me that that is a danger area in terms of runoff.
Right. So that's, I think that's where the silt fence would come in, that we would run the silt fence along the fence there.
Okay.
To serve sediment control and limit of work, to keep them in bounds.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Ann.
All set, Ann? Okay, Mike Splain, what do you have for us, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. All right, yeah, David, with regards to the measurement, and I'm not talking about the inner and outer riparian, but I'm talking about the no build and no disturb.
Yep.
Should that be measured from the top of the bank? I mean, which actually, where that bank comes up vertical and then, you know, it's really sharp.
Not in the case with Riverfront. Riverfront is broadcast from mean annual high water. And I mean, there is a narrow margin of BVW in there, but I mean, inland bank would be if it was an intermittent stream, and that would confine that resource area.
So,
But again, even if it were inland bank, the definition of inland bank for a stream is first observable break in slope or mean annual high water, whichever is lower. So in this case, even if the top of that crest and elevation was first observable break in slope, the mean annual high water is what it would be broadcast from.
yeah, it is the first observable break in slope. There's no question. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That bank doesn't fill up. And you're saying that you've defined where the high water is, and that's your spot?
Yep. It's a regulatory definition in the Wetlands Protection Act for the resource area inland bank. So inland bank confines any streams or any ponds or lakes. And that definition is first observable break and slope, which would be the crest of that slope, or mean annual high water, whichever is lower. So in this case, the mean annual high water is lower.
So that allows you a little more leeway in terms of defining the 35, because we're not defining it off the top of the bank. But
That's
in
right.
fact, the top of the bank, if you took it from the top of the bank, the 35 would be greater than what we're seeing.
That's correct. But
Just
that would
making
be,
that point. And that's not, well, that's a bank where whatever comes over there is coming down into the river. My other point is, I don't appreciate that you offer to move the shed, but now you say, well, now we won't because we're not going to get what we want. And I thought in good faith that you should still move the shed because it's so close.
well, it was offered as compensatory mitigation. So the mere definition of compensatory mitigation is to compensate for
Yeah.
a take. So in this case, if we vacate, we're compliant with your local
I
ordinance.
know that. I'm just saying in good faith.
So
I'm saying in good faith, you know, I mean, if you thought
no,
that's a big yard back there. There's nothing back there. There's no reason you couldn't move it.
it was offered as compensatory mitigation, and we won't offer it if you guys, it was offered if you guys granted a waiver. That's the definition of compensatory mitigation.
All right. And on the shaded area on the 20 by 20, it really forms a triangle at the base of that upside down triangle. What's that measurement?
What do you mean at the base? Oh,
Well,
that's feet.
At the top, at the top of it. I'm calling that an upside down triangle. So at the base,
Yeah.
base of the shaded area.
That's the closest point at which they encroach. That's where the 3 foot encroachment is.
That's
At the top of that triangle, the closest distance that it would be if we were to, entertain the waiver would be a 3 foot encroachment and a 41 square foot surface.
I
area.
get that. So now if you draw your line 3 feet in, you're right at the 35.
Yep.
At least some distance. And then 10 feet out, you're at the 25, which is a no disturb. So are you going to be able to safely work back there?
Yes. Yep. There's no reason that contractors can't do, this isn't, Major construction, as I understand too, I believe this was on concrete slab, so there's no excavation or no necessity for, I mean, they would maybe use like a bobcat or something small like that to bleed out pit mount topography, set the concrete foundation, and then just frame it and go up on top of it. So it's not a heavy equipment job. I mean, a guy in a bobcat, some guys in trucks with ladders, and
Yeah, and that is a slab. That is a slab, right?
yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, I think
All
that's
set,
all I
Mike?
have. Yeah, that's all I
Okay,
have.
Thank you,
Chelsea, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so with the proposal to reduce this 20 by 20 thing to by 3 feet, which wall are you like doing that reduction from? Like, is it coming in from the right? You're gonna bring it in away from the 35 foot, or bring it like down to reduce?
It would be from the left side, the left facing side is what's in. So with that left facing side would come in 3 feet, and the dimensions would be 17 by 20 to vacate that area.
Okay, and you said that that area that's in the 35 foot, it's around like what, 41 square feet? 40? What did you say?
As proposed now, 41 square feet in the new.
Okay. And the wood shed that was offered to be removed is 102 square feet. Am I reading that right?
That's right. Yep, 102 square feet, and that's actually in the no build zone versus the no disturb zone, the 25 no disturb versus the 50 or 35 no build. I keep saying 50. A lot of towns are 50. You guys are 50.
With the compensatory offer, so it's like, let you guys keep the 20 by 20 and remove the shed, or keep the shed and remove that 40 square foot chunk.
Yes. Yep. That's
Okay.
what's on.
All right. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chelsea.
All set, Chelsea?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, Vanessa?
Thanks. Chelsea, I'm glad you raised that. That's a good point, because now it's, yeah, if we make them move, if we ask for the shed to be moved, that's reducing impervious by 100 square feet, whereas we have the addition moved, it's 40. But I was a little disappointed myself to hear that moving the shed is off the table, because I know you gave the definition of compensatory mitigation, but the shed, regardless of whether it's compensatory or not, the shed is in a place where it's not supposed to be and was not permitted to be placed there.
Yep.
So
it's a structure that's considered existing non-conforming. So existing non-conforming structures are structures that were built prior to enactment of the Wetlands Protection Act, or prior to enactment of your local bylaws that set the setback zones. So anything, it's considered grandfathered. So there's really no recourse to mandate that we take it out. And that's true of a lot of existing non-conforming structures throughout Massachusetts.
Well, I also think,
I'm sorry, it's less than 120 square feet too, right, Dave?
102 square feet.
Yeah, so, I think that being over there by the boundaries is, I think they can do, I think it's legal to have a shed in there.
Can we ask staff that? Can we?
So I would say the shed standards for the ZBA, there is a square footage, and I think it is 120. So it may be permitted without a permit by the ZBA and the zoning inspector.
But not us.
For Concom, yes. So that would just something I'd want to point out, that it could be okay with the building inspector, but the violation with the commission, just depending on when it was installed and everything.
Georgia, how do we know when the shed was put there?
Well, so that was a question.
Was there some evidence presented to us that showed when it was? No.
So that's what I would ask the commission. I know Mr. Cowell just referenced it was grandfathered in and predates Wetlands Protection Act. So if they have evidence that it was there before that date, then I think that could suffice for you guys, but it would be nice to know, or at least have verification that you can confidently say it predates.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm inclined not to vote for it if we don't know that the shed was there pre our environmental laws.
Sure. So I'll have to follow up with, of course, I can't answer that on the spot tonight without.
I know, but you make the representation to us that it was there. You don't really know.
I was told that by the property owner. He said that it was there shortly after construction of the house. And I don't know how long he's lived there or whether or not he was the original property owner after the house was built. I think he may be the second or third. So the only way to query that is to look back to prior survey plans of record that may be on board for either Board of Health if he's on septic or prior conservation hearing filings. So it's one thing, George, I don't know, I don't want to burn you, but if it's if you're able to query your system and see if there had been any prior wetland filings for 17 Dartmouth, you guys may have a plan of record on file that may have been a previous as-built that would detail this.
Yeah, I'm happy to check. I'll even check right now while discussion's still
Okay.
happening.
And on our end, we can create registry of deeds, and I can talk to Mr. Leonard and find out. Why
What
don't
about
we?
a building permit?
What's that?
What about a proof by a building permit as such?
Sure, yeah, let's ask the building inspector if they have a building permit that was out there. I don't know if a shed would require a building permit, but, you know, especially something that would be prefabricated. But if there was in fact a building permit required and necessary, then yeah, the building inspector may have a plan of record on file. So I think that's the first starting point, and I would talk to Mr. Leonard. But I think that on Mr. Leonard's behalf, just in his absence, that I would carry sort of a contingency that if we're able to provide evidence of it being grandfathered, that we would keep it. And if we fail to, at the commission's discretion, then I don't think it would be a catastrophe to get the project to pass to ask him if he'll still move the shed. Right? But that's if it's not grandfathered in or hasn't been recorded in the past.
Okay. All right, back to Vanessa. Do you have more questions, Vanessa?
No, no additional questions.
Okay, just a quick question from me and then a comment, and then we'll proceed. One thing we did see the other day was in the back of the yard,
Yep.
there was a couple of pipes sticking up out of the ground, and they reminded us as we stood there from the fence.
Yep.
It looked like pipe.
That's something that I can look into and answer prior to the next hearing. That's a valid question. I don't know where
Okay.
the pipes are located, but I can certainly look into that for you.
But if you go to the property and just look from the back, you know, we were in the back of their driveway, and we just looked out to the back of the property. There were two pipes sticking up, and it looked just like an oil fill pipe setup.
Okay. Are they about where, is that Georgia? Do you have the marker on that area? Okay, understood. Yeah, let me, I can ask him and get back to you. It's not on our survey plans, and I can find out what those pipes are or what they were to.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you're content with continuing this.
Yes, yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are pending, you know, it sounds like you guys aren't comfortable on the shed until you guys find out if it is in fact grandfathered or not. So that.
Okay. And just one comment to take back, at least from my perspective, I'm happy to see you reducing the size, the footprint of that addition to keep it out of the 35. I think that's the key thing there.
Good.
You know, that's a permanent structure that we won't have within that 35.
Right, understood. And I understand how important setbacks are, that most commissions try to maintain consistency across the board to, you know, you may have denied previous applicants and you don't want to open up Pandora's box to the next applicant. So
right.
Consistency is understood.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Let me just, we'll go see if there's any public comment, and then we'll probably just move to continue the hearing.
Okay.
So Georgia, you're maintaining the email surveillance?
Yeah, no public comment that we've gotten, Peter, for this.
How about the phone comments? Any, Alicia?
No, no public comments.
Okay, and is there anyone just as part of the meeting that would like to make a comment or ask a question? Okay, hearing none, could someone make a motion for us, please, to continue this hearing to our next meeting, which is on February the 11th?
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 17 Dartmouth Street, Department File Number 14-1357 for the meeting of February 11th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alicia. All those in favor? Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Vanessa,
yes.
Ann,
Yes,
Chelsea,
Yes.
Michael,
you're muted.
Yes.
uh,
Did you
maybe
get that?
should just wave our hands. And Peter, yes. Okay, so we will look forward to seeing you again, Dave, on the 11th of February.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for your
Okay,
time.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Thanks
Thank
now.
you.
Okay, on to item number 2, which is Lot 8 on Beaver Brook Woods. This is just an informal discussion, so I think what I'm going to let the applicant do is just present their case. And then I would say we'll poll each member of the commission for questions or comments. And then we'll just leave it to the applicants to go from there.
Can I, before we start, could I just ask a question to staff, Mr. Chair?
Yes, you may, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, so how do these informal discussions come about, versus somebody filing, something? Can you
So in
just
this-
touch on that?
Of course, great question. So in this case, the commission already issued an order of conditions for lot 8. And as you may have seen in the memo, one of the conditions required that the applicant come back in front of the commission to present the plan, and that plan was to show 3 things, which Annie can touch on. So in that, there's no formal request. They didn't request to amend. It's really just, that's where the informal discussion comes, and that the commission asked them to come back with a plan prior to a building permit. So they're back with a plan prior to the building permit. So in that, there was no refiling of something, no request to do something. They're really just providing what we had asked them to show before the building permit. And the commission can go over that in detail, what that plan shows. Does that
Yeah.
answer that question, Mike?
Yeah, and sometimes they just come back to staff and you either decide that it's okay, or in this case, it's coming before the board.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, Georgia, do I have the ability to share now?
Yes, you do.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for meeting with us to talk about this tonight. And so I'm Annie Raftery from the Warren Cameron Group, and just wanted to give you a quick update on the project, just so you guys know where we're at with it. The roadway construction is underway. It's rough graded. The utilities are all installed for the road, as are the retaining walls. And the wetland replication area, which was one of the conditions of the permit for the definitive subdivision road, is installed. And I do have some photos of that area that, if you guys can see this, just to show what it looks like. Now, obviously, these photos were taken in the fall, so there's not a lot of growth right now. But this was the approved wetland replication area for the definitive subdivision road. So this work was done back in October. So this is all in, and we have our silt sock in here just to protect it with the retaining wall in the back. And what I was going to present to you today is I just quickly wanted to go through the previous plans that we had submitted and had gotten approved, and then go over what the revised plan is, showing the final architectural design on this. So what we're looking at right here, this is the original Conservation Commission plan for Lot 8 that we submitted back in August 2019. So this over here shows the wetland replication area that we installed in October for the subdivision road, with a proposed foundation, about 2,100 square feet, a retaining wall, small patio, and retaining wall in the backyard, and driveway, deck, walkway for the residential house. These are just the additional plans that went with that. This plan here that we're looking at is dated December 5th of 2019. This is the plan that's referenced in the decision in the order of conditions on this lot. So the changes that we made on this were we added some additional wetland replication and mitigation area for Lot 8 between wetlands flags 19 and 22, and we kind of squared off down here from the replication area that was shown on the subdivision plans. And so what we did is, this was the plan that was approved, and now what I'm going to show you, this is our final design plan. We have a buyer for the lot, and this is the house that they want to build. It's pretty similar in size to what was shown on the plan. It's about 100 square feet bigger. The driveway is about 130 square feet smaller, so it's roughly the same impervious area in the front. And we shifted the retaining wall along the wetland line here from 28 feet to 30 feet off of the new line, that was one of the conditions in the order, and the limit of work back here was also moved to be 28 feet from that proposed line. Other than that, there's not a huge amount of changes. We did add a pool and paver patio in the backyard, is what the owners want to build back here. And this impervious area, it's mostly semi-pervious because it'll be standard pavers. But we account for this in our subdivision stormwater design. We account for about 25% of the lawn area to be impervious, because a lot of times people build sheds and patios and walkways and things that don't get reflected on these schematic designs. So this area is not any greater than that 25% of the lawn, so it's within our stormwater design that we had for this. So that, I think, covers mostly what I wanted to talk about. The replication area that we are going to be doing between wetland flags 19 and 22, and then these little shaded areas off of the subdivision replication area are not complete yet. Those will be done once we get the building permit for lot 8, and we'll do that prior to doing any of the foundation work on it. We'll get that graded and seeded in the spring. And I think that covers everything in my presentation, so I will open it back up to you guys. I'll go back to you for questions.
Okay, Annie, I'm just going to start with a straightforward question. The wall that's bordering on the wetland, that has not grown in any way?
No, it's just moved 2 feet further from the wetland, from where it was shown on the previous plan.
Along with the scope of work.
Yes.
And how high is that wall?
So the wall, it varies in height. It's about 2 feet at the back here, and I think at the highest point, it's about 8 feet in height, but it kind of slopes down along this side yard here. So
And it's going to be a block retaining wall like it's already built a little farther up the street?
Yes, it'll be the same style wall as what's installed for the subdivision.
And the foundation of the house is how far from the wall?
It's about 5 or 6 feet.
Okay, and what has changed in the back? They want to put a pool in, so you can have to do more filling in there?
Yeah, so what we changed in the back was we added a little bit of a retaining wall here to level out the yard to make a pool possible to build back here. It's actually going to be a bit of a cut, so the pool will be set down a foot or 2 from the grade in the riverfront area here, so it won't be any filling.
Okay, all right, I'll just hold my questions. I'm gonna go through the board and we'll let them ask their questions first. So I think the first person I'll ask is Ann, do you have questions?
No, the pool is a new addition. Is that correct? That's different from the original plan?
Yes, the original plan it showed a patio and wall back here, not a pool, but it did show a concrete patio.
Okay, and what is going to be surrounding the pool? Is that grass? Is that cement? What is it?
So that's we have pavers. There'll be sanded joint pavers back here, so the semi-pervious paving stones.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions. This is new to me here, so.
You weren't part of the board then, were you, Ann?
No. So that jumps out as obvious change to me. So I'll hold up my questions if anything pops up later.
Okay, we'll go on to Mike. Wherever he went.
I'm here. I just had on mute. Yeah, thank you. All right. Could you, you have a pointer there. Could you point out the retaining wall?
Yep, so there's a few little retaining wall. There's a retaining wall here.
Yeah, can you make this a little bigger? And I'm not really following your pointer here.
Yeah, is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
slow the pointer down.
Yes. Hold on
Where's
one
your
second.
pointer? All right, there's your,
Yeah, I was like, I can
all
I
right.
can do it with a connected line too, I think. So I can show if that makes it easier to see. So this is the retaining wall that was shown
Right,
at 20, yeah.
And the retaining wall is being moved from the original location?
Yes, so on the previous plan, it was shown at where this limit of work line is. This
Can
is
you point that out? I'm not seeing that.
Yep, so the limit of work line here is shown like this with the little dots on it, but
All right. Is the height remain the same on the wall, or did that change?
yeah, the height is roughly the same as it was. It's actually a little bit shorter now because it's been pulled further from the wetland, so the grade at the back of the wall is about a foot higher than previously approved.
All right, and that where you show that wall comes along, I don't know what direction we're going, whether it's no, but it makes a sharp right turn on the older wall. You don't no longer have that?
That wasn't, I don't think that was ever shown. I can go back to the previous plan if that is helpful.
That's not part of the wall?
Yeah, so right here, this was the plan from December of 2019. So that was the wall there, and it kind of did the same thing. It was just 27 feet from the wetland line. And the
Yeah.
red line here is the limit of work.
And now how many feet are you away from the wetland now?
30.
30. And was that, and what was the reason for that?
That was one of the conditions of the order that during the approval was that we shifted the wall to 30 feet from the wetland.
That was something we said?
Yes, it was in the order of
Okay.
conditions.
And what about the slope? Has the slope, that 2-to-1 slope, that stayed the same?
Yes, that stayed the same.
All right, can you show me that?
This right here. This is that 2-to-1 slope down to the replication area.
All right. So the reason for the change, other than moving the wall, is it to accommodate the pool? Is that the main reason that you're back here?
No, so we're back because the commission asked that we come back just to show the final design. Because when we do the subdivision, we don't know who's going to be buying the house and if they're going to want to make any changes to the architectural design. So the commission asked that we come back and present what the final house and yard will look like, so that we're not.
Yeah. So if somebody were to, I'm just thinking out loud now, but Georgia might chime in, but is the idea of putting a pool, is that an increase in the scope of the project? Or, and alternatively, could someone build the house, then come back later and have that pool? They'd have to come before us, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify why the applicant is back. So just if we look through the previous order, and if you don't mind, I just want to read the conditions that require the applicant to come back. So the order said, yeah, here, Annie has it, great. So number 78, prior to an application for a building permit for any work on the lot, the applicant must file an updated site plan with the Conservation Commission for their review and approval at a regular scheduled public meeting. So that updated plan must show these details. And as Annie had just noted, they moved the retaining wall to no less than 30 and the limit of work to 28. So that's that new wall we saw. So at the time when the commission put this condition in, this was really to have them come back so we could see this new line based on the replication and stuff. The plan that's now been submitted is showing quite a bit new features in the back. So as you noted in the memo, Mike, you had just said, does that change the scope of the project? I believe that's something for the commission to consider. That's not something the applicant has requested, but I think this would be a little bit different if the applicant were to come back showing just those 3 things we had requested. I think that was the intent. It wasn't the intent to have a whole new plan, in that usually our process is similar to what we're in now. We have a subdivision, we approve a general lot, the buyer has it, and then they come back for an amendment to that order. So I just wanted to clarify that. So those three things that are shown on the changes in the plan are what was requested. And that's why they're back to show us, hey, we did these three things. Can we get our building permit now? The only concern I had was that the plan looks different than just those three items.
And different in the sense that there's now a pool or there's different landscaping?
Yeah, there's
or-
just there's more features. I mean, just here we have a pretty tall wall in the back, as Annie had described, the 10 by 20 pool. If we go back to the previous plan, it looks different than what was on the approved plan. And I think it's up to the commission to kind of interpret what that difference is and where that scope is, as you had just noted, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, John Collins,
All
zoning.
set, Mike? Hold on a second, John.
For now, I might have more questions.
Okay, can I, excuse me, I'm just gonna go through the members of the board and then we'll get back to you, sir. So who was up next? Chelsea?
I don't think I have anything. Did anyone touch on the how steep this slope is and like if anything's going to be done to mitigate the flow rate for runoff yet?
I think that was a question that Georgia had asked, wasn't it, Georgia?
Correct. And I think Annie did address it in her email, but it would be good to note just for the public too, Annie's response that you had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this 2-to-1 slope, it'll be seeded with a stabilization mix that we'll do. We've used them in the past and they do a really good job of keeping the slope stable. And additionally, there's really only a very small area that's all grass that's going to be flowing over this. The majority of the lot's going to be draining back towards the roadway. So it's really only about a 200 square foot grass area at the top of the slope that might drain over this slope. So we didn't have any real concerns about washout there once the seed mix is in. But I believe that it was already seeded back when we did the site walk with the silt fence line. And it'll be reseeded once the lot work is done.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question, Chelsea?
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, Vanessa, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. So what is the square footage of the patio area that's proposed?
Yeah, so the patio and deck that are shown on the back of the retaining wall, it's about 1,400 square feet, 1,440, including the pool.
I didn't hear that. What was it?
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing that too.
Oh, yeah, it's about 1,440 square feet.
Okay, and what was allotted on the initial plan?
So the initial plan, it didn't call out a specific, are you asking for what that patio was shown at or what was done in the,
What was shown
hydrological
before?
I was asking, yeah, the comparison of square footage on the prior plan to this plan.
Yeah, so the square footage shown on the plan was, I think it was 550, but when we do the design for stormwater, we accounted for almost 2,000 square feet of impervious lawn area from a drainage perspective.
Okay, and can you explain to me what the new retaining wall is? Is it, because I know that, so the retaining wall that's in red was an existing retaining wall
Mhm.
that just got moved slightly, but is there a new retaining wall and where is that going?
Yes, so the new retaining wall, there's a retaining wall shown just, oh, that's not really working, sorry. Kind of along here, just to level out this patio, because this will be at the first floor elevation. And then there is another section of retaining wall that wasn't shown on the original plan. And this was just for the pool, to level out this area to make it feasible to put a pool back here. So this is a pretty short retaining wall. It's about 2.5, 3 feet, just to make this area more level.
So it's on all three sides of the pool.
Mhm.
Okay. And then regarding the 2-to-1 sloped area, thinking way back to when we were hearing this initially, I feel like we discussed having a fence at the top of that sloped area, but I don't really remember where that landed. But I think the concern was that soccer balls, frisbees, assorted things might go down that slope and into the wetland replication area if there was nothing to block them.
Yeah, I am not sure on that. I would have to look into it and see if that was it. I didn't see anything about that.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at the notes from the meeting because it was a long time ago and I don't really recall how it landed, but I remember being concerned about that before because it's steep too, so you wouldn't want anybody falling down it either. So with the seeding mix that you're putting in, is that intended to be mown once a year, not at all the time?
So with those, we don't mow them. We could put in a condition to mow it once a year, if that is something that you guys would want, but it would not be like something that would be mowed as lawn or something.
Okay.
It would grow for.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have right now.
Okay, now, John asked for a chance to speak, so, John, if you're there, go ahead, please.
I'll be very quick. Just want to thank the commission for having us and Georgia and the staff with all their hard work on helping us with the subdivision. At some point, I'm going to have to jump off because there's a conflict with the planning board meeting and I don't have someone as good as Annie at that one to speak, so I have to speak. I just wanted to mention that when we're selling these lots and designing these houses, we're trying to get everything out of the buyers that they want now and into the future. Because when we were in front of you for a number of times before, there seemed to be a concern, which I respect, of the commission, of we build the house, you know, they buy it, they move in, and now they want to do this and they want to do that, and they're coming in front of the commission for that type of stuff. So what we're trying to do is have the whole ball of wax, because I think lot 6, lot 7, and lot 8 are the 3 lots that we have to come back to you to show what's going to be there. So we're really trying hard to have it all sort of taken care of at once to make it easier on the buyers for the future, but also to make it easier for the commission, so you don't have people coming back on the same lot to add everything. So I just wanted to, you know, explain that to you, and I hope that helps. And that's because of the feedback you gave us, you know, months ago. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, since this is just a discussion, I'm not sure where we lie. I know as far as procedures, do we need to vote on anything? I can ask George.
Are we still taking comment, Mr. Chair?
Can I ask?
We will. George, I'm just asking that question.
Yeah, so there's technically no request that the commission needs to address, but if the commission has a suggestion for the applicant to take going forward, whether that be if they want to see this plan approved, it sounds like if the commission felt necessary that they would have to file an amendment and come back for a public hearing.
From what I'm hearing, we need to approve this before they can go for a building permit, right? That was one of the conditions of the original order that we voted.
Exactly. And if the commission feels comfortable approving this plan as submitted,
we could do that. Okay. All right. Just I just want to make sure we're all on the same page on that. Okay, now let's just go. Mike, I see you gesturing there.
Yeah, I just want to add that this sounds like a portent of things to come. They're saying that they're doing us a favor. I think they're doing themselves a favor by saying, you know, we're coming in with a smaller project, but now, you know, we're doing you a favor because we're going to put all this in now, and we don't want to have to come back for an amendment. Well, I think I do want to see them come back for an amendment, because he's already saying you're going to be doing this in the next 3 lots. They'll be coming in and saying, you know, well, here's another wall we added, and here's a pool, and here's some other landscaping. But, you know, we figured for this, and we're helping the planning board. They're helping themselves. So
Yeah,
that's my feeling.
Okay, I was
So can
gonna
I, can I respond? Can I respond to that, Mr. Chair?
no, can I just, I wanted to just set the ground rules where we're at, and then I was gonna go for public comment, then I was gonna poll the members of the board. And then, John, I'll give you another chance to speak. at
Right,
that-
but there's a misunderstanding, Mr. Chair, in regard to
But,
what I
sorry,
said.
please,
Okay,
just let me run the procedure the way. Okay, so Mike kind of got ahead of ourselves, but let's go to some public comment. Georgia, are there any emails?
No emails.
Any phone calls, Alicia?
No public comments.
Okay, now I see someone that's in as part of the meeting would like to comment. Is that, did I see Matt Duggan somewhere?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may,
Yes, you may.
thank you. Matthew Duggan, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Been following this project for several years now. I actually went and visited the site earlier this month. Did so from the public right-of-way at the rear of the property where the power lines are back by the College Pond. So you can get a pretty good view from back there. And there's quite a lot of disturbance in terms of large mounds or large piles of dirt. My question is related to 321R Maple, which is owned by the town of Danvers, and which kind of the westernmost portion of Lot 8 abuts that. So on this map that we're looking at, where there was some I forget what the word was, but you created some additional wetlands to make up for some that was lost.
The remediation.
Remediation, right. So I see kind of like a parallelogram there. That's on town-owned property, that piece of wetlands? Is that on 321R Maple?
Now, you might be coming into this a little late in the game. I think there was some right-of-way issues that went with that parcel of land that,
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's the roadway, but the
Yeah.
entire piece of property isn't just for the use of this project, right? So that's my question, I think, just one question. What type of disturbance is happening on 321R? Those piles of dirt, are they on there? Because when you go there, it's hard to delineate where each, I want to say previous rectangles that existed. I know they technically or legally they don't exist anymore. So 321R, what type of activity is taking place on that town-owned piece of property? Someone
I can
answer
respond to that if you want me to.
yes, please go ahead.
Yes, yeah. So the 321R, there's no activity for this project going on that lot at all. All of the work that is associated with the road for that, it's all within the right of way. So the wetland replication areas on this are on the parcels that are owned by our client. None of this work is proposed on the town land.
And Peter, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, if I could also add to that for Mr. Duggan as well. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the overall subdivision plan in front of me, but it was a portion of the subdivision approval that town parcel be marked out with flagging and posts, so it is not disturbed during construction, and I believe that has been intact since they started the clearing. So that was one of the first things we inspected to make sure that area was physically marked off so it couldn't be disturbed. But I will clarify, Mr. Duggan, to make sure that is the area you're talking about, that 321R Maple parcel.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to poll the board members and just get their feeling as to what we think we should be doing going forward. You know, from my perspective, there's quite a lot of change here, and I personally would like to see an amended notice of intent, or I think it's an amendment to the order of conditions. Is that how it goes, Georgia?
That is correct.
Okay, so then that's where I'm voting, and I mean, that's where my opinion. If we were voting on something, I would vote in that way. So that being said, I'm going to just pass it along to the members to kind of give me an opinion, and then we will give John a chance to speak at the end of that. Okay, so let me, first I'll go to Ann and let us know your thoughts, Ann.
I will bow to your opinion on this because again, I wasn't there for the original discussion. So I will just go along with the board members'
Okay,
whole
all right,
opinion.
thanks. Good. Chelsea, any questions or comments?
No, I can't think of anything.
Would you be content with going along with this plan, or would you like to see them amend their plans?
I think I'm okay with the plan since they pulled back their retaining wall, which was kind of what we wanted from what I understand. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this plan.
Okay, Mike, do you have anything else to add to what you?
Well, just what I said earlier, I'm in favor of an amendment.
Okay, and Vanessa, what do you think?
I think that I need to dig into this a little more. So I'm definitely not ready to vote on the plan as is. I think an amendment would be good because it would give me more time to look into it, but that's not necessarily the only reason to ask for one. Honestly, I didn't really have a lot of time to prepare this week, and this one it involves some looking back and trying to remember what we had said way back when. So
Right.
I feel like I need a little more time to dig into this one.
Especially with this lot. This lot was right on the border, and we did ask for a lot, and I think things are getting changed on us. So I'm glad that we asked for them to come back for approval, because this is exactly the situation we wanted to avoid. That being said, John, I'm going to give you the floor, so you can go ahead and share your thoughts.
I'm not sure if he had to hop off to get his other meeting, but I do have a idea, I guess. Would you guys be amenable to, if we come back with a modification to add the patio and pool area, just signing off on the building location and the wall, so that we could get the building permit just for the foundation, and then we would submit a modification for all the backyard work? Because the order did state that we had to come back to show this wall and the foundation and the limit of work to show that we shifted that, which we did do all that to meet the requirements. So I understand what you're saying about the work in the backyard, but if is there a way that we can get a sign off on the foundation and this retaining wall, but not on the pool and patio?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm not so sure we can separate the two. So I guess we'd have to leave that to Georgia to give us her opinion.
Annie, what I would ask is, can you go to the OOC approved plan?
Yes, this one?
Yes. So I guess what you would be asking for is basically an approval of this, but it now would show the wall at 28 and the limit of work at 30.
Yeah, and I think the foundation of the building. I guess
Yeah, so staff opinion would be, as long as this plan is not any bigger or the scope hasn't changed and it's showing exactly what the commission had asked for, then that,
right, yeah, matching the backyard back here is what you're saying, as shown on this plan.
so in that, what they would be requesting is for the commission to approve it per the order requirement as it's shown, as they wanted, with that 20 and that 30. And if they were to do that, and then if your buyer wanted to put in that pool and that patio, they would have to come back for an amendment. Is that what you're requesting now instead?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So
Well,
Peter,
that's sort of what we were talking about, isn't it?
so now we're kind of back to if anything, we can kind of start over a bit and go back to the original. And
so we're back to their original plan with a slight improvement that they're moving the retaining wall 2 feet farther from the wetlands.
Yeah, so what
Right.
I would say, Annie, we don't have that plan just yet, right? That hasn't been, because I think the original approved plan still shows the wall not at 28, correct?
Yes, yeah, this plan, the wall adjustment hadn't been made yet, which is, I believe, why it was put in the order for us to make that change. So it would be the wall as shown, the wall and limit work as shown on this plan, but it wouldn't be approving the patio and pool.
That-
That would be separate.
I'm agreeable to proceeding with what we already approved, back in 2019. But I think what I'm hearing is that they would have to come back to us for an amendment or an addition to the order of conditions to build this pool and the associated walks that go with it. Walks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, or we could have a plan to you tomorrow, Georgia, showing this footprint and the adjusted wall, and we'll just take off the patio and pool if that would work. If we get that to you tomorrow, we'll just take off that new wall and patio and pool.
I just want to clarify also, because it sounds like you're going to be keeping the new footprint of the house, and that's about 100 square feet bigger.
It's about 100 square feet bigger, but the driveway on this plan is about 130 square feet smaller.
Okay, so that's also other minor change that the commission would be considering tonight if that.
Well, that's not on the original plan, though.
So what's going to happen is, this is up to the commission to discuss right now. Are they comfortable with allowing a new plan with the new house footprint, but the wall at 28 and the limit of work at 30 like originally required? It sounds like there are a couple options on the table for the commission to consider.
Well, first of all, we'd have to vote on approving this, right? So doesn't that, just following the whole protocol of a meeting, doesn't that have to be on an agenda and we'd have to have the final plans? I mean, right now, this is just an informal discussion.
Yeah, I mean, that's technically how they were to be invited back. The order just says they're supposed to come in front of the commission. It doesn't say technically for a public hearing.
But it also calls for approval. So an approval tells me that we need to vote.
Yes, which yeah.
But don't we vote just at public hearings?
No, you can vote it in like a certificate of compliance. That's not a public hearing. When you vote on those aren't public hearings.
All right. Well, here's my line of thought.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they're moving the retaining wall 2 feet away from the wetlands. I think I have no problem with them gaining 100 square feet of house, with the trade-off being 100 square feet reduction of an impervious driveway. But I do want them to come back to us with an amended application for this whole pool area, because to me, that's pretty extensive construction, and this is a very sensitive area. And I think this lot, more than any in that subdivision, is the most sensitive to wetlands. And I really would like to preserve that wetlands. I don't want to compromise any more of that wetland than we already have allowed. All right, that's me getting on my soapbox. And now we can proceed. So I guess the question is, are we going to give them an approval to proceed with the foundation and just have to come back? I'm just asking that question. I'm going to ask the board members what they think. So Ann, just give us your gut feel on that. I know you're not totally familiar with the project.
That sounds reasonable, the additional square footage, and then you're reducing the square footage of the driveway. And it's a modified plan. We're looking really at the wall and the house foundation rather than the extended additions there. So I would approve.
Okay, Chelsea, what do you think?
Now I'm feeling like kind of indecisive about it. I'm gonna defer to the rest of the board on this one, I think.
Okay, Mike, share your opinion with us, please.
Yeah, thank you. The moving of the wall, that was part of our order of conditions. So they was number 78, was it, Georgia?
Yes, 78.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that is part of our original order. So
Okay,
what they're asking,
Hold on a second, Mike. Let me just ask. My understanding was we allowed the wall at 28 feet. And now they're proposing it at 30 feet. Is that correct?
The wall was, I think the requirement was to move it to 30 feet and move the limit work to 28 feet,
Yes,
which is what we're showing here.
that's correct.
So that was the original plan, was to build it at 30 and 28 of limit of to work?
The original plan that we submitted had, I believe, the limit of work at 25 and the wall at 27. And we agreed to revise the plan once we had the foundation to move that wall to 30 and 28. So that was what was approved, but it's not what was shown on that plan.
Okay, no, we're probably splitting hairs over that. Okay, where were we? Was it Mike, right?
yeah, so I was saying, so that's how it was approved, right, Georgia? So.
Yes.
And as far as the adding the 100 feet on the house, what exactly, I didn't see on here the trade-off. What are they giving up, so to speak? Is it because the house gets bigger, the driveway gets shorter, it just happens?
Yeah, that's exactly
What I figured.
That's exactly what it is.
It's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, of course, if the house gets bigger, the driveway's gonna get shorter.
Well, they could build a house bigger towards the wetlands, so.
Well, no, they couldn't.
They could try.
So, I mean, if they, I share your concerns, the patios, the pools, the whatever, the landscaping, all of that concerns me. If they want to make the house 100 feet bigger, I guess I don't mind. I'm just not sure, like you, Peter, on this process. They're here informally. What are we normally being asked to do when people are here informally? I mean, we're being asked to do something specific. So
Right.
why is it we can do that, Georgia?
Well, so I guess it's just syntax of wording on the agenda. Here, they're not, as we had required in the order, just as background, when they came in with their proposed plan in 2019, it showed the wall at 25 feet and the limit at work at 27, vice versa. The commission said, we'll approve it, but before you build it, we want the wall moved.
Yeah.
So now they're coming back to show us, hey, we've moved the wall, are we good to go? So
Yeah, so
really the
now-
commission's saying, yes, you're good to go. And that would be the vote. I mean, it's not, I don't think we need to worry about the hearings and all that.
No,
As long
okay.
as, yeah,
I think I got that, and I'm just gonna say, I get that, because if they came back with exactly what we wanted, you wouldn't even have us here.
it would be
more
quick.
or
It would
less-
be
You would
5
just be telling
seconds.
us, yeah, they came back, everything's identical to what we wanted, but
Yes.
they've actually, they've gone beyond what we've asked.
Exactly.
And that,
In some sense.
and herein is the concern. So I guess I would go along with our chairman, that with the 100 feet increase, but don't do anything different than what's on the original plan right now. And they'll have to come back with an amendment when they want to do that.
Right,
That's
so they're pretty much going with the original plan plus this 100 square foot change.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I guess I just want to give Vanessa a chance to speak and then we can go from there.
Thanks. I'm just looking for details on the exact changes to the house footprint. You don't happen to have a plan that shows like one overlaying on the other, do you?
Oh, no, I don't have that handy, but I could get that to Georgia tomorrow. If we'll get you a signed plan that has this footprint without the pool and patio. So it'll be what's being approved for the building permit. And I could put together a overlay for that, but it's.
Do you just not have a drawing or do you?
Yeah, I don't have that drawing handy. I just.
But if you zoomed in, could you just show us where the house is growing and the driveway is shrinking?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So if you're looking at this, it's pretty much just right here. Just the driveway, the garage is a little bit deeper than what we had shown on the plan. So this was I think
Okay.
we had it shown more like it was more like this.
And the foundation's grown too, obviously.
Yeah, the foundation, it's 100 feet bigger overall, but all that area is pretty much right up here in the front, so it took away from the driveway.
Okay, and just to reinforce, the foundation is outside of the 35-foot.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Okay, all right.
Could I just ask, Mr. Chair, what happens with the porch and the walkway? Anything?
It sounds like it's staying the same. It's Annie?
Yeah, the porch is, I think it's actually slightly smaller than what this was the original plan here. So what we have for that is, it's slightly less. I don't have the numbers, but it's.
All right, I can see it. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So, sorry, I just trying to get back to my,
Nope, it's your turn. You go ahead. Don't apologize.
Sorry to interrupt.
so are the back corners of the house, are those in the same exact spot as they were before?
I believe that they are. I'm not positive, but I can check that.
Okay. And I'm trying to look here, how far away the house is from the 35, because that's the dotted line, right?
Yes, that's this triple dotted line here. I think it's about 3 feet. At the closest point, and then it veers away from it.
And then what was it was it 3 feet on the other plan, or was it different? Because there it looks like a lot more
So
room.
it was a little bit further, I guess, on that one.
Oh, I feel like when you switch screens there, it showed that it's
looks
gone closer to the
It's a
wetland.
lot closer, but
Yeah, the driveway we did flip where we have the turnaround here, so we moved this pavement further from the wetland. Kind of offset it.
so that's a good point. Is the house getting moved closer to the 35 then? Because that's,
It is a little bit closer to 35, but it is still outside of the 35-foot no build buffer zone.
So is that a change from the original plan?
that's a change.
Is that a change, Annie?
I don't know if does that count as a change, because it is still within I believe the bylaws requirements were outside of 35-foot. I don't know if the way the order was phrased that we couldn't move the building at all, as long as we're still meeting all of the requirements of the bylaws.
Isn't it being somewhat relocated?
I would think so. I'm not sure you're asking the question for, but I'm just going to chime in. But I guess the question for Annie is, why are they moving it slightly closer?
We moved it slightly closer to give a little bit more side yard area here for grading.
On the right-hand side of the house?
On the right-hand side of the house, because there's not as much room. With the wall moved further over, this isn't as usable, so we wanted to give a little bit more usable space further from the wetland.
Okay, Vanessa, were you all set?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
I didn't know the house was relocated. I'm glad Vanessa brought that out.
Yeah, neither. Okay, that being said, this thing is just such right on the border to begin with. How much was it? How much closer to the wetlands was the foundation moved?
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I'm not sure. I'd have to open up the drawings and double check.
Can we just take the measurement off the two maps?
It's probably about 2 or 3 feet, but again, I don't have a scale here on this version.
Yeah, but there's a measurement from that house to from that side of the house. What's that say?
Where are you looking?
I'm looking.
This is the original drawing we're
This
looking
is
at?
the
Those are
original.
contours, Mike.
Yeah, those are just the contours.
Oh, all right.
No, but just looking at that, go back to the drawing you just had on the screen.
Yeah, I think that's about 2 or 3 feet. It's
Yeah,
not.
see that's significant.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable. I don't know, folks. I'm thinking I want to see an amended application here.
Yeah, I don't think we should do any kind of approval now.
Okay, that Mike and I have spoken. What do you think, Ann?
I'll support you.
Okay, Chelsea?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should probably wait for an
Yeah,
amendment.
because I mean, that's a change in their plan. So, Vanessa, what do you think?
I think I would like to see the new footprint overlaid on the old footprint before moving anything forward.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I think that's pretty much for our discussion, Annie. So if you can bring it back to the applicants and maybe get back here in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on this one before we move on? Okay, so on to certificate of compliance for 10 Riverside Street, DEP file number 14-1093. The applicant is David Bennett. Who's here to represent the applicant?
This is Joe Small from Hancock Survey. I'm the one that prepared the plan, and I'm here to represent it.
Joe, Georgia here with staff. Do you want me to pull up the plan or do you have the capability to do that?
Well, I have it here, but I'm not sure what do you share the screen with me? Is that
Yes,
the way
I'm
it
going to
works?
make you the presenter and it should say at the bottom of your screen, you can click the share button and you can pull the plan up. Wonderful, we can see it. If you want to zoom in a little bit too, I think that will be helpful.
Okay, I have that.
How do I do that? Is that doing it?
That's great.
Okay.
That's good.
This one runs back to 2007. About 6 months before, this was the Danvers explosion, if you all remember that.
Right.
So this is the neighborhood that comes off of Water Street that many houses were damaged during it. And at the time, we were doing notices of intent every other week, it seemed. This house went in for some additions that were being added at the time. There was some damage done during the explosion, and they were proposing additions. And then once construction started, they determined that the damage to the foundation was way too extensive. So instead, they decided to rip down the old house and build a brand new one. So what I tried to show on here is the outline in red is what was originally proposed as the outline, and then what's actually shown is what was built. So there weren't a lot of conditions at the time that were proposed for this. It was more or less, I can show you, I actually have the plan that was approved, which is this guy. And this was approved in 2007. I signed and stamped this one as well. So what I haven't read on the newer plan is what was proposed, and then they went in with a slightly different footprint. And then I think everyone just kind of forgot about this one, and the property went into foreclosure. And Mr. Bennett is the current owner, and he found himself holding the bag with not having a certificate of compliance. So that's why we're here today. The building's been built for years and years. Everything seems stable. The lawn is there. I've got pictures of it I can show you. And I'm not sure what else I can tell you beyond that, other than if you go out there, it looks like it's been there for a long time. So I don't know if you have any questions about that.
Yeah, Joe, just a quick question. Just my understanding was that the house had moved closer to the water, but it seems to me like the house has moved closer to the street.
It did by about 2.5 feet. It's further
Okay.
away from the water.
And is that the only real difference from, I mean, did you pour a new foundation and everything when they built this house?
Yeah, it's brand new.
And do we have any idea why they made that 2-foot change?
You know, I don't. I know that they had to go for a variance when they wanted to pull it closer to the street, and they got the variance at the time. But we weren't really involved with construction at that time. I did the as-built of the foundation. That's how I know where it is. But
Right.
They didn't really share a whole lot of information with us.
Okay, I mean, it's probably to the wetlands or the riverfront advantage that you pulled it 2 feet away.
Well, I looked at it that way for sure.
Okay, that's all I have. So let me just go down the list of the members and see what other questions or comments they might have. So let me start with Ann.
Where's the 25 and 35? Is that relevant here? Or,
Well, yeah, the house goes into it, and I'm showing them on the plan.
okay, all right. And so the lot, the 2-story wood deck part of that is in the 25 no disturb zone. And what
is.
is the so is the red line the foundation now?
The red line is the outline of what was proposed originally.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the black line is the actual.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So I was just a little confused on what's what. All right. No, that's all I have to ask at the moment. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Mike, any questions?
Well, I'm wondering if I could see a picture.
Let me pull one up. Here. There's a picture of the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the front. That's a picture from back looking from the river.
Quite the
Can you see
deck.
that?
Now, was the deck part of the original plan?
Well, there was a deck already there, and the original plan was to expand the deck for the full width of the house. Let me pull up the plan again and see if I can show you. So the original deck was here, and then they were proposing to expand it for the full width.
Can you do that again? I'm missing the arrow on that. What's go ahead.
You see, I'm trying to circle it.
Yeah.
Does that
All
help?
right. All right.
Okay, so then it was just in roughly half the width of the house and they expanded it to the entire width of the house.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Go back to the picture, please. All right. And the picture above. Yep.
And this is a single family home, right?
That's right.
All right. Thank you.
It's quite the
That's all I
deck.
have.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Chelsea, any questions or comments?
So does making the deck wider, like, did that change, like, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the word, runoff at all? Like runoff anticipation or anything?
Well,
Probably not, because it's open decking, but I don't think that was even a concern at the time with the original approval.
All right. Then no, I've got nothing.
okay. Vanessa,
I don't have anything additional at this time. And to Chelsea's point, I think it was if you can look at the red line, I think it was approved to be on the original plan, the width of the house. It just got moved forward. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
okay. I see no reason to not issue a certificate of compliance. If someone thinks differently, they can vote differently. So if someone could make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance, please.
All right. Do we need any comment on this? We don't, because
Yeah,
it's
no.
not, it's a request for a certificate of compliance, right, Georgia?
That's correct. It's technically not a public hearing,
All right.
but we also have no comment if
Okay.
Peter were to ask.
All right. I'll make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 10 Riverside Street, DEP file number 14-1093 for the project as was shown by the applicant tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Vanessa,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and Peter. Yes. Okay, that issue is done.
Great. Thank you all. That was much
thank-
quicker than the last one.
Sometimes they are.
Good night. Thank you again. Do I need
Next
to,
item on the agenda is minutes, but I do not see any on the SharePoint today, so I'm presuming there are none to review.
No, there are not any minutes. And I also just wanted to note, even though she does an amazing job, Alicia has been overwhelmed with our COVID line. She is our
Wow.
first answer phone call for vaccination, shots, quarantine, all that. So on top of that, it's been tough getting the minutes, and now that they're also virtual, she can't type them at the same time as doing them like she used to in live time. So in the office internally, we're looking at ways to have our minutes done either separately by someone else, or so we're working on that. I just wanted to let members know, and that Alicia's working her butt off to get them out. So you guys have been very patient, and we're hoping it can get a little bit easier.
Okay, well,
going
just
forward.
from an archiving standpoint, I mean, there are video records of each meeting, right?
Yes, it's all online, and we can do the closed captioning and some transcripts as well. We've been trying. So there is physical record of every meeting we've had.
Right, as long as there's a record, I think we're okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now if we go on to old and new business, Georgia has asked to speak about the rail trail pedestrian bridge crossing that's going to be coming in front of us in our next meeting.
Yes. Yeah, so I only need about a minute. And if you guys have questions, you can hold on because we're going to have a public input session on this as well. But I just wanted to put this in front of the commission. Like Peter had said, VHB, which is an engineering firm that the town is working with, Steve King, the town engineer, has been working with VHB for the rail trail extension phase 1. So I just want to give a little overview. Everyone can see this is Cherry Street Fish Market. You have these condos over here. And right here is actually a vacant town parcel. It's owned by the electric right of way. Nothing's there. And as you can see here, this is the existing rail trail. And here we go into the downtown over here. So phase 1 of the rail trail, from what we're considering phase 1 right now, is going up to Maple Street, up here along what's the existing corridor. So if everyone sees that, we'll start here and come down. So the biggest issue we have in this phase 1 is right here, and this is Beaver Brook. This crossing is about 15 feet long. I think it's about 7 feet deep. It's very narrow, deep channel that needs to be crossed with a pedestrian bridge. So the filing that we're going to be getting and that the commission will be hearing on February 11th is going to be the work to build this pedestrian bridge. It's about 400 feet, the limit of work, the span. So it starts about here that they'll have their machines and operation works probably to about here. I've asked Steve King to just mark this area out with stakes and ribbon, just so if members are able to go out. I know we just talked about how cold it's going to be, but between now and the 11th, if you guys find yourself in the area, feel free to stop by here. And of course, when the hearing opens, the commission's more than welcome to do a visit with the engineer and the town engineer. But I didn't know, just throwing this out there for members if they want to go take a look. Also, before November 11th, the town will be hosting a public input session for this
February
February 10th. Thank you. February 10th is going to be a public input session for all abutters along this section and anyone interested in attending. And there they'll have much more answers on when's construction, what's happening in the back of my yard, what's this going to be, what about crime, all that will be covered at the input session. And then,
can you send us a link for that meeting?
yes, so I will send an invite to the whole board, and then you just have to RSVP back to me. We're inviting about a couple hundred people, so I'll put Concom on that list. You guys are more than welcome to come, and that will be the day before the notice of intent hearing, and that's virtual too, so that will be online. Yeah.
One quick
that was all.
question, Georgia.
Yeah, say that again.
On the downtown side, if you can zoom in a little bit more. Go back up to where the bridge is. See, what is that? It looks like remnants of something there. Just right, come back to the right a little bit.
This way?
Nope, come 90 degrees. You're almost on it. See what it looks like? There's wooden structures or whatever there. Yeah, right there.
Right here, I think you're seeing the shadow of the power line, the actual poles. So
Oh, from the
here's
power
one, here's
lines.
one, it's
Yeah.
the power line. So those are the poles of the power lines.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
was there ever a bridge there?
I don't, that's a good question.
Probably not.
No, I would imagine, I mean, look at how channelized it is and consider you can get over right here. So it's unlikely that there was once a bridge there, especially
Yeah,
if they have the crossing
Was
here.
that just a utility line or was that a rail line at one point?
This was a rail line, and
Yeah,
I
Yeah, so
know
there
we
must
have a member of the Rail
There
Trail
must have been a
Advisory.
bridge. There must have been
Yeah.
a bridge.
Mr. Duggan, if you're here, do you know?
Yep,
I don't
that
know.
was an active line that went to Andover. So
Thank
there
you.
is, where you see those shadows, there is kind of the remnants of a slope. There's like an earthen kind of berm there that was built up, and there was a bridge going over that area.
Oh,
Okay.
it actually goes out to the old state property and
That's
then
right.
continues on. That
Yeah.
was a rail line, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
No.
thank
well,
you, Mr. Duggan.
Okay. No, that well, it's not in our jurisdiction, but funding is probably covered for this, right? So,
Yeah, so there is funding, and then I know we've had some grant opportunity as well. So again, at the public input session, they can get into the nitty gritty of funding and future costs.
yeah,
as
it's
well.
just if someone goes to see it, I mean, you have to hike. There's really nowhere you can drive up
Yeah.
close. Maybe in that parking lot in that apartment building off of Pickering Street.
Mm.
But
It's right in the neighborhood.
that's your
I-
neighborhood, Ann?
Right in my neighborhood. I can
Oh,
go.
good. Ann, can we park at your place and walk over?
Yeah. Well, it's
Well-
near from the fish market on, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Because
personally, I'm familiar with it. I've ridden my bike right up to the edge there, so that
okay.
I'm all for this.
Good.
Okay, so if the members want to get out there at their discretion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if we don't get 2 feet of snow next week, okay. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Georgia, or is that it?
I just had two other things, and I'll send this via email, but if the commission members kind of wanted to just think, I had asked Peter if it was all right if I asked you guys. I've been sending the memo out as I do my memos. They're usually a couple pages long, a narrative. But if members have suggestions, some of you may like them shorter, or maybe I can give a quick 3-sentence synopsis at the end of each one. So if you have any feedback, suggestions, edits, I am happy to take anything good or bad. Feel free to email them to me. And I'm really kind of putting this out there because we are hopefully, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but with the new regulations coming in, I know we're going to have a little bit more regulatory stuff to look at and kind of follow. And I want to make sure I'm able to do that clearly and not I don't want to write too much in an effort to confuse anyone. So if you have suggestions, just please send them my way. That would be great.
I know personally, the more detail I see, the better, because a portion of it sinks in. So the more I see, the more I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, but if someone, you can just email Georgia directly with your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you didn't give us something on the next meeting, Georgia, or did you?
I did not, but it's looking like we have the one continued hearing we just did for 17 Dartmouth. And then we have the rail trail extension, and then we'll have anything that lot 8 for Beaver Brook if they're to
If they
file
come back with,
anything.
right, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Very good.
sounds good. Anybody else have anything else?
Nope.
All right, who wants to make the golden motion?
I'll make the motion that we conclude the Conservation Commission meeting of January 28th, 2021.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor? Vanessa,
yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Michael,
Aye.
and Peter, yes. Okay, so thank you all for your time. Stay warm, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.